TV channel 250. Please remember to download both the BarnBurner and Zingo TV apps on their respective apps, as well as they are on the iOS and Android devices. And this show is also on the BarnBurner Network's Twitter page, Facebook page, and YouTube page. So follow us on there and be sure to leave a comment. This week, I have three different guests. The Russian Diamond Ksenia, who is going to be on with us. She's a Russian wrestling personality and also a YouTuber. From Great North Wrestling, the Black Widow Eve will also be joining me. And my co-host today is a comedian that is also a huge wrestling fan, Jack Nolan. We're going to bring him on here right now for this Zoom meeting. I've known him for a while. This is actually the first time I'm going to be talking to him. So if we can get him on, here he comes, Jack Nolan, all the way from the United States of America, where it's Thanksgiving right now. And here he is. And what a background you have.
Great to
I have
see
that
you.
same comforter, Jack.
Yeah, I was gonna wear my regular military fatigues, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with my pajama fatigues. You know, go all out. I hope I look good. I dressed for you.
You look great, and we got the Ultimate Warrior on your comforter, the Big Boss Man, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Hulk Hogan.
Of course, absolutely, and don't forget my WWF microphone.
What do the ladies say when they show up at your house and you bring them to the bedroom and that's on there?
Oh, I don't get girls.
Oh no, I thought the comedians had a lot of groupies. I heard.
No, you know what? You can go that route, but you're gonna end up with herpes.
I actually worked at a comedy club here in Ottawa, Canada, before Yuck Yucks, and actually one of the comedians got into some trouble for having his way with a young lady in the back room.
Oh, I'm sure. No, idiots. You know, one thing about comedians is that a lot of them are very insecure people, and some of them have made horrible life choices. They're always odd people in some way.
And have you been following wrestling this week? I mean, we had The Undertaker retire at Survivor Series last weekend, or retire. Wrestling retirements don't necessarily last.
You know, and I did not watch the episode just because, you know, it kills me. It kills me to watch program. You know, I'll catch the highlights whenever I can, but 30 years Survivor Series for The Undertaker, that's phenomenal. He's the last of his generation. I don't know that there'll ever be anyone quite like him again in terms of that was one of the last great big men that could really work and really put on a good show, without a doubt.
And possibly the greatest gimmick ever in wrestling, too.
Oh, without a doubt. I think superstar Billy Graham said that one time. He's like, I wish I had that. I think he said, you know, I wish that he wished he had that gimmick instead of the karate thing. But oh,
well, actually, Billy Graham did do that karate gimmick, but he did sell out Madison Square Garden with that gimmick like numerous times. So as bad as he hated it compared to his superstar Billy Graham gimmick, it's still sold out MSG, which I can't remember the last time WWE sold it out.
Yeah, and it's a shame that he wasn't allowed. You know, the name of his DVD is Superstar Billy Graham, 10 Years Too Soon. I believe that's the name. He correct me if I'm wrong. But man, if that isn't true, if that isn't the truth, I was just watching. I think I told you I was just watching the lead up to Survivor Series '89, and superstar Billy Graham was actually
Hey, you're shaking.
But
Are you nervous? I see you're shaking.
no, I just smoked some pot.
Okay. I actually was sent some pot by Crystal Gardens to sample on the air. I don't know if you've seen it. I do some of my news updates on the Hannibal TV now when I'm smoking, and that seems to actually help the views.
You know, I find it. You know what? I find it very medicinal and um, definitely a lot of far worse things a person can be doing. I mean, look at Tommy
Yeah.
John. He probably would have died of cancer without a doubt if it wasn't for cannabinoid oil and if it wasn't for the um, chemicals that are in the marijuana plant. You know, so it's pretty trippy that it's capable of saving as many lives as it is. Yet it's something that's been deemed wrong, at least in American society.
Oh, wait, hold on. Apparently, you can't drink alcohol on the air because this is TV. Sorry.
Oh,
We'll cut it at that sip. It's actually grape juice, by the way.
it's apple juice.
Yeah, it's apple juice. It's not real alcohol. Yeah, there's different rules, I guess, for TV than YouTube. I can't smoke pot on the air either.
Definitely apple juice. Watch the whole thing.
There you go. It's cherry juice. Let's just say.
Now, if that was hard liquor, I'd be on the floor.
There you go. Now, as far as Survivor Series, as far as Survivor Series 1989, that was the one where the gobbledygooker made his appearance. That's what it's best remembered for, wasn't it? Or was that 1990?
Yeah, I think that was the beginning of the end, sir. To that generation, I think that was the first sign that we've run out of places to go, and this is eventually going to hit a wall.
Yeah, I remember the giant egg. They were showing it on Superstars every week, and everyone was wondering what was going to come out. And then it ended up being like the gobbledygooker who did that stupid dance with Mean Gene, who you kind of remind me of with that WWF microphone that you have there. And then he was never heard from again until the WrestleMania 17 gimmick battle royal.
I can't. Who was that really? Beefcake? Is that who it was?
Hector Guerrero.
Really? Oh God! What a waste. Oh, why?
If Beefcake was the gobbledygooker, that would be hilarious. Because if you've ever met Beefcake, which I have, and by the way, we talked about superstar Billy Graham earlier. Anyone can watch my many shoot interviews with Billy Graham on the Hannibal TV, but my Brutus Beefcake interview probably holds the record for the most lies told in a shoot interview.
Oh, really?
He is just so full of it, but he's a very grumpy fellow in real life. So to see him do the gobbledygooker would have been hilarious.
It's so bad when some of the boys, when some of the boys, the old school wrestlers get caught in these idiotic lies, and it's like there's 10 people telling the story this way, and you're saying it didn't happen. And it's painful to watch.
The funniest story about Beefcake, I don't know if you remember this, in the early 2000s, I guess he was working in the subway in Boston. You heard this story, right? And for some reason, he had some cocaine on him. And at that time, anthrax was the big drug. And they thought there was going to be an anthrax scare. So they had to evacuate.
They thought Beefcake might have been a domestic terrorist or a jihadist. He was just on cocaine.
He ended up just getting fired over it, and there was no criminal charges or anything. But the saddest part is, it's at that point in time, he was working at a subway booth.
Oh, yeah. Well, still, I mean, that's just absolutely horrible. I mean, that makes the Sheik and Duggan look like Boy Scouts,
The Sheik, they've kind of kept him like out of the spotlight in recent years. He was like one of the big YouTube stars when YouTube first came out because people were seeing that side of him for the first time. But it seems like whoever's in control of him now is keeping him off camera.
Yeah. I did notice that he had some sort of autobiography DVD come out recently. I haven't watched it. I free on YouTube. I haven't gotten the opportunity yet. But yeah, a lot of there were stories of the Iron Sheik told by almost every wrestler of the 80s and 90s. And some of them were incredibly funny. And they seemed to disappear from the internet one day, or get sized down. So
I think whoever his handlers are these days are like keeping him real quiet because I met him a few years ago and he agreed to do an interview with me. But then whoever his agent was or something came up to me and said, nah, he doesn't do interviews anymore. And the Sheik was like, no, I want it because he was going to get a payoff for that. But whatever, the people in control of him cut it off. So unfortunately, it may never happen for me and the Iron Sheik.
you know, I hope that's not the case, because I mean that wouldn't that be such a shame?
Yeah.
Yeah, but who his handler is? There's got to be somebody who supersedes that. Got to be somebody. I just wouldn't know. I would have no idea who the contact would be, or someone else that he stays in contact with within the business. But I have no idea.
Well, our first guest is here. She is a Russian wrestling YouTuber. She is an Instagram model. She is one of my favorite guests on the Hannibal TV. Ksenia, the beautiful Russian diamond. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, we're doing great. I'm just admiring my co-host today background. He's got his WWF comforter. I know you have quite a collection of not only, you're actually a collector. For anyone that doesn't know Ksenia, she has a YouTube channel. Ksenia did that. She's on Instagram. She's very, very humble, but she lives a very impressive life, in my opinion. Lots of traveling.
I've been researching her since yesterday, since I saw her on your program, and very, very impressive. Very, very impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I actually, talking about being a collector, I recently found out that I have the biggest wrestling figure collection in Russia, which sounds pretty impressive, you know.
Wow. Let's hear about your collection and how big it is exactly.
Absolutely. What's your most prized possession?
It's not that big. Again, about me being humble, you know, but for Russia, it is pretty big. I have about 200 Mattels and then some, you know, other stuff here and there, some Funkos, some Jacks. And talking about the prized possession, actually, it's funny how the vast majority of my collection is Mattels, but my favorite is a Jax. And it's a Jax specific figure of Dolph Ziggler before he became Dolph Ziggler, that being Nikki of the Spirit Squad.
Wow.
Awesome. Cool.
I used to have the big rubber ones.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, you had those. I'm a little older than our Russian friend here. Yeah. Do you have any of those those rubber wrestling dolls that were popular in the 80s?
No, I don't. I actually started collecting not that long ago. I always say a different number when I'm asked because I honestly don't know for sure, but I'd say about 6-ish or 7-ish years. So didn't have the time yet to go that deep, you know.
And your first doll that you had was an Edge doll, right? And that was even before you knew about wrestling. I was the same way. The first doll I ever had was a Ken Patera doll. And then I ended up interviewing Ken Patera twice. So it was kind of cool. But it was just one of these things where you go to visit Santa Claus at a mall and like you would get a random toy. I didn't even know what wrestling was.
That
So
was
I identified
LJN.
with her story.
Yeah, that was the LJN brand. Those models, before Hasbro took over, I think in 1991. If you have any of the LJNs from like '89, I think that was their last year under contract. Those, particularly on card, worth a tremendous amount of money.
Now,
Yeah, and you mentioned the Edge doll that they had. I don't even have it anymore, and it haunts me because I'm still not sure like what it was, what brand it was, and I tried to find it, and to no avail. So.
oh, interesting. I think I stopped collecting by that time. I had the smaller ones that came after those LGN figures, but then once I became older, I got other interests. But you mentioned Dolph Ziggler. You actually interviewed Dolph Ziggler recently, as well as The Miz and Drew McIntyre, probably the lowest drawing WWE champion of all time, but I know you like him. So how did you get these interviews, and what was it like interviewing current WWE stars?
It wasn't as much of a full-blown interview as much as it was like a glorified meet and greet, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's just, the matter of being in the right place at the right time. So, and I truly mean it, because to sign up on one of those like meet and greets or, virtual signings, as they say, you really need to act quick. It's pretty hard to get one of those, and that's why I only managed to get 3 people on the channel. But yeah, it was fun. And Dolph Ziggler, as you know, and maybe some people who watch my channel know, is one of my all-time favorites. Someone that I would call my favorite wrestler sometimes. So meeting him for the first time in such context was really weird, but nonetheless pretty special.
Yeah, were any of the other wrestlers particularly stand out in your memory?
I recently posted a video about it. That's why I get kind of stumped that you ask, because The Miz was the absolute first wrestler that I ever met. And he's also one of my absolute favorites. And it was, again, under pretty special circumstance, because he actually came to Moscow, Russia, when WWE did their first tour in Moscow, Russia. Again, they did 2 cities, I think. Not that big of a tour, but they did. And coming back to that, and getting to talk to him about that, again, 8 years later, was also pretty special. So if you ask me like about the wrestler that left a lasting impression, that would 100% be The Miz, because I was, 15 years old. I've never seen wrestling live whatsoever, even though I was a wrestling fan for 5-ish years at that point already. And just, being able to actually see my favorite wrestler in person, and the first wrestler that I could see in person being my favorite wrestler, was kind of amazing.
I'm seeing that once again, you have different nails today. Always different.
As always.
She's quite a beauty queen for anyone that doesn't know. I highly suggest people follow her.
Very unique.
Now, as far as The Miz, one thing a lot of people don't know is The Miz's show, Miz and Mrs., outdraws WWE NXT in ratings almost, actually every single week. I don't think NXT has ever beat The Miz's reality show. I've never actually seen it, but I'm sure Ksenia has seen it. What do you think of his reality show?
Yeah, I've seen several episodes, not the entire thing, unfortunately, but I know about it. And it's a shame that the mainstream wrestling fan underestimates the power of those reality shows, because they truly help create new fan bases. They help draw new people and get them to watch wrestling. And the thing is, I recently talked to an aspiring wrestler in Russia here. Her name is Kylie Devin. She performs at IWF Russia. And we were just talking about, how we got into wrestling and such things. And she actually told me that she got into wrestling by watching Total Divas. And she's pretty young. And it's so fun to see, this new generation of female wrestlers and fans coming up in the industry that became attracted to the whole thing because of that reality TV. And right now she's, very much not a diva type of thing. She has like this creepy gimmick. She's a powerhouse. She's taller than me. And it doesn't, some people think that implementing all of those reality TV tactics will, make wrestling something different, glamorize it or whatever. No, that's totally not the case. It is just a very, very powerful tool.
I've actually interviewed numerous female wrestlers in their 20s in recent years, and even this week, and Total Divas did motivate many of them to get into wrestling. And I think women's wrestling is more entertaining than men right now. I have to say it. I enjoy it better than men. Who are some of your favorite diva wrestlers out there right now? Both of you could answer me this.
Oh, I agree. I don't want to put a name on it, but just what's amazing to me is how far women's wrestling has come. When you look at 1985 and the original screw job with Wendy Richter, and basically put on the back burner for many years, to where it is today. I mean, complete polar opposite. It's amazing the work the women have done. It's truly amazing. You go.
Yeah, definitely. And, it sounds like it's such, an evolution that, of course, definitely took time and effort. But looking back, even 3 years ago, 5 years ago, it was totally different. We talk about it like it's, an issue that we basically overcame, which first of all is not true. And second of all, there's so much more to be done. And it started just so very recently. And talking about some of the favorites, I guess it's evident by what I look like right now. I'm repping Taya Valkyrie, who is my absolute favorite. But yeah, it is hard to, pick and choose favorites because there have been so many breakout stars and then superstars that have just, shown themselves in different light. Sasha Banks has been an absolute banger recently. That's impossible not to mention. And AEW also showcased some of the NWA's women's roster, which is also great. So yeah, I'll just like to double down on what you said. Women are doing amazing right now and very, very entertaining to watch.
Have you been following the Thunder Rosa and Ivelisse drama that stemmed from that unusual AEW match they had where Ivelisse appeared to stop selling briefly? I asked Thunder Rosa about it when I interviewed her. She wouldn't comment, but apparently they've been going at it on Twitter. I don't know if that's shoot or they're trying to work an angle out of it. What's your opinion on it?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's work either. And the thing is, I first heard of it and read about it and then watched the match. Like when I first read the descriptions, it did seem pretty wild. But then I actually watched the match and I was like, it's not that bad, it's nothing tragic. Of course, a hair flick or two doesn't look that great in a wrestling ring, but nothing, too horrible happened as far as I could judge. But the sole fact that she wouldn't comment really draws more attention to it. So I guess we'll see. But, for me, the rule of thumb is if they're going around on Twitter talking about it, that's probably work. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should turn it into a work, even if it's not, because people are talking about it and people want to see the match. Now, my favorite video from your channel is the one where you do a little bit of wrestling training. Have you done any training since then? Because you definitely have the look and the speaking ability to probably a company like AEW or WWE would want in the future if you were to get some experience. But I know you're very intelligent. You have other projects that are important to you too. But do you think you're going to maybe pursue wrestling a little bit because you're so passionate about it?
It's super nice of you to say that it's one of your favorite videos on my channel because it is one of my favorite videos that I've ever made. It was really fun to make and it was something that I had been thinking about for a long time before I actually did it. But Every time people ask me that, I always say the same thing. I'm not a wrestler. I do not aspire to be a wrestler because I feel like, as you mentioned, the talking ability, I feel like there's stuff that I can do that would be better and more beneficial for the industry and for myself with what I have and with what I aspire to be. As you said, AEW or WWE are definitely a goal, 100%, but in a different way. I love, analyzing. I love doing think pieces. I have done like a panel here and there in local wrestling. And I am also very passionate about inclusion, about feminism, about women's rights. And I feel like that's something, as we already mentioned, that wrestling is trying to achieve, but is lacking here and there. And I would love to bring that expertise because I do think of myself as an expert. I have given a lecture in one of the biggest universities in Russia about rape culture. I have written stuff, I have done videos about it. So I feel like that's something that I bring to the table. So why go and wrestle if I have something that's, to me personally, more, something that I'm more obsessed with, I guess you could say.
I see. And as far as maybe the creative side of it, would you think that you might have anything to give to a company like WWE that's always looking for writers, or even start smaller with an independent group sharing some ideas of the creative side of wrestling?
Yeah, I always say that wrestling, modern wrestling, 100% needs more women writers because that would definitely change the game. Because I know some differences or some details might not seem that drastic, but a female gaze, if you will 100% make a difference. And if at a certain point in my career that female writer has to be me, I'm 100% ready to do the job. But I don't think I'm that interested in starting small, as you said, because I feel like if you are there to bring change, you need to start big. So I'm more about, bringing a project into something big than starting, from the bottom, because in the end of the day, changes happen top to bottom, not the other way around.
Jack, I see you have your microphone there. Do you want to ask her something?
No, I mean, I personally was just going to say, I think that the industry kind of needs to be recreated from the inside up. That there not only needs to be a shakeup at WWE, but just industry wide, there needs to be a refocus on characterization and just storyline. Because I think professional wrestling is capable of so much more. And I think that unfortunately Vince McMahon, who is, the God of all gods, he is Zeus. He is the good Lord Jesus and everything else. He controls the show. And I don't think that he's open-minded to change within the industry. Or if he is, he's doing a very good job pretending he's not.
Yeah.
There's this concept that's called the tolerance paradox. And that is for a society, or in our case, for a company or an industry, to be tolerant, it needs to be 100% intolerant towards intolerance. I hope I'm making sense here. And the thing is, until there's no zero tolerance policy towards certain human rights violations in wrestling, we won't be moving forward. And I don't necessarily mean, canceling people or completely, destroying their careers, as people say, or whatever. For example, I feel like AEW handled the situation with Sammy Guevara perfectly. I felt like that was, the best thing to do in the situation. And it's not that hard to do, like it's not rocket science. And until people in their minds know that they have to be completely intolerant to intolerance, that's the key for change.
Yeah. Now, speaking of sticky situations, what do you think about this Matt Riddle situation with the lady accusing him of sexual assault?
I'll say as much. I've read the statements of both sides. And to me personally, it's pretty clear who is telling the truth, but I won't comment any further.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that, but I do understand that one of the reasons they changed his name to Riddle, the rumor is so when you search it, all the stuff about Matt Riddle doesn't show up because there's so many other words that go by Riddle. So it was more safe, but there's some controversy there. Are you a fan of his as a wrestler?
I mean, he is definitely a good wrestler. And we had like the, certain behemoths of the industry say that he is the future, that he's, has the it factor. But I guess that's done and done. People are not willing to invest in him anymore. People are not willing to, see him or root for him as much anymore. So I guess that's, that's kind of over.
Yeah. I
There
think
have
the
been
word
some
bro has been
polling.
overdone. What do
There
you
have
think,
been
Jack, about bro? Like a guy like Matt Riddle that says it every sentence. There's only so much you can take of that.
Yeah, there's been so many appalling actions from pro wrestlers over the years. I think the worst story I've ever heard was I can't remember the wrestler's name. He was borderline jobber in AWA in the 80s.
Oh, Buck Zumhoff.
Yeah,
Buck
thank
Zumhoff.
you,
Oh my
thank you,
God.
brother. That was the most disturbing thing
You
I've
might
ever
traumatize her.
what a sick man. Oh, ugh, gross. What the hell is wrong with some people?
I hate to even bring it up, but to me, the most traumatizing one was the Alberto Del Rio story, because like it's not some, indie guy that has like 5,000 followers on Twitter. It was like an international star in the top company, and that what happens after. Like I couldn't sleep the night I read the story. It was horrible.
And now Paige has come out and said that something similar happened to her, where she'd be basically stuck in a room and he would only, this is what she's saying, it hasn't been proven in court, but he would just come in basically to give her another beating and then leave her there. I don't know if you heard her comments.
Yeah, this is the first I'm hearing that, but that's really disturbing to me. I did not know that.
He basically, I'll let Ksenia tell the story for those that aren't familiar with the Alberto Del Rio story, as there could be some people watching this right now that aren't.
No.
He's facing serious jail time.
It's hard to even, talk about it, and I'll try to avoid, the more graphic detail. But the gist is he basically kidnapped and raped a woman with a foreign object.
Yeah, and threatened the child of the lady, tied her up and so forth. So, yeah, I think he's facing up to 25 years. Is it, if he's convicted?
Yeah, I hope he rots in jail.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with it. I've never met him in person, but it sounds like he's temperamental, if nothing else. If you look at his history, I believe he was fired from WWE at one point for slapping. I don't know if it was a writer or some type of an official behind the scenes, and he's been in his share of assaults over the years. But yeah, bad situation. What about the Undertaker's retirement? I already asked Jack about it. Do you think this is actually going to be it? We've seen him at the Orlando WrestleMania. It seemed like he was retiring then. They decided to kind of do this retirement ceremony without the fans, which I think is kind of unfortunate for the fans, that they didn't want to wait for his fans to be there, and they piped in the "Thank you, Taker,"
Thank you, Taker
crowd noise.
Yeah, that's...
But his wife said she doesn't know if he's going to.
I think a lot of things are unfortunate for the fans these days. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of change I would like to see.
You know, what kind of dystopian future are we living in that they have to, you know, pipe in the chant and like use like holograms and stuff like that. But on the one hand, yes, it's a shame that there was no live crowd there, and it wasn't, you know, it didn't feel as big as I would have wanted it to feel. But then on the other hand, it's like, you know, with the boy who shouted wolves, like no one really believes that he's actually gonna retire at this point. So like I don't have this, you know. I guess I was a bit touched, but I don't have this feeling of it being permanent. And maybe that's why I'm like, I guess that, you know, it is what it is, because I don't really believe in my heart that that's it.
Harry
No,
Funk.
I don't either.
Terry Funk has had a retirement match in every decade since the 70s.
True, he has to come back this decade yet. He hasn't come back in the 2020s, but I'm sure he will. I'm probably going to be running into him probably fairly soon. And
Oh, don't wrestle him again. Come on.
no, I don't.
That was brutal. That was when I first became a fan of yours, actually. It was that match. Because when I saw him afterwards, I was heated. I was like, I can't believe that dude actually did that. And then and then I got to know you better through the internet. And I said, that's when you just look in the mirror and say, Mark.
Now I see you're wearing a Ric Flair shirt. There's another guy that he had the big retirement ceremony, and then he came back and wrestled in TNA. He's come up and
forget about those years. Those years don't count.
Yeah. Now he's come up in shoot interviews. I'll ask Ksenia about this. He often brags that he's had sex with more than 10,000 women. He's been married, I think, 5 times now. Do you think he's a good role model, Ksenia, that he says he's had sex this many times? But obviously, how long did he remain faithful to his wife if it's that many times?
I don't know, for the wedding night, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion is one thing, but you know, I am a firm believer that wrestlers, singers, actors, whoever, don't owe us being a role model. Like, he's not Dalai Lama, he's not the president of the United States. He does not have to be this, you know, pure, perfect person, and you know, none of us are perfect. So, as far as I think, cheating is of course very wrong. Having many sexual partners isn't. Like, you do you, that's great for you, but in the end of the day, none of those things are a crime or, you know, anything like that. So I mean, good for him.
Yeah, I'm a Ric Flair super mark. Flair and Piper. Piper more. Piper's my all-time hero is Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Well, you might see his daughter in the big leagues sooner or later. She has a lot of talent, in my opinion, and she's good on the mic. She just needs an opportunity.
Wanted to see more out of Colt, but he hasn't seemed to be able to break through. The opportunity to meet him once as well, but he hasn't been able to seem to break through the Northeastern territory.
According to Teal, his sister, she said that Colt did not take the death of Roddy well, and he's kind of gone not in the good direction since the death. Maybe he'll turn around, but that's what the issue is there.
Well, I mean, I wish the best for that family. That's all I could say. I loved Rowdy Roddy Piper from the time I was a little boy, even though I was a Hulkamaniac. You sometimes want to see the bad guy win. A little part of you wants to see the Roadrunner get killed by the Coyote. You know what I mean? Just the dark side of you just wants to see it happen just once. And there was something about that spirit that Rowdy Roddy Piper captured in the early days of the 80s pro wrestling boom with the WWF. And that was a character that he played like nobody else could have. And I don't know that Hulkamania would have been able to reach the heights it did without Rowdy Roddy Piper. That's not to say that Hogan's replaced him. Hogan is irreplaceable, in my opinion. I'm just going on and on because I love her. Ignore me. Ignore me.
And for Ksenia, because we're on TV time here, unfortunately, that's all the time we have today for Ksenia. I am wearing her. Ksenia did that sweater. For anyone that wants them, she can tell us where to get them, and maybe you can plug your social media here before you go. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And this particular merch is low stock running already, so you can DM me for that. But there is new merch coming up pretty soon, which I've teased already on my Twitter. You can follow me on all of social media. My nickname is Ksenia Did That with an X on all social media, particularly YouTube, where I do interviews, vlogs, and on my Instagram, I do a bit more of a lifestyle blog. So check me out if you will.
Yeah, we're gonna have to now.
It's worth it for the pictures alone. She's a gorgeous woman, and it's always a pleasure to admire her photos and her style. My favorite outfit of yours is the cowgirl outfit.
Oh yes, I love that aesthetic.
I love the accent. The accent's incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, all of us here in North America love the accent. Any closing message you'd like to give before we bring Eve on?
Yeah, I guess check me out on social media, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and support inclusion in wrestling.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, and I'll stay in touch with you, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Thank you.
Rock and roll.
Now, our next guest is a Great North Wrestling women's competitor. She is the Black Widow Eve. If you haven't seen her wrestle, she has many matches on my The Hannibal TV YouTube channel. She even has an intergender match on there that has, I think, over 100,000 hits, and a match versus Lady Yasmin that has a lot of hits. How are you doing today, Eve?
Good, and you?
Doing excellent. How have you been holding up? The COVID's pretty bad in Montreal, I heard. They have all these restrictions on you.
Yes, there's nothing open, like no restaurant, nothing, but we can go shop.
Well, that's important.
It's so depressing, isn't it? It's so depressing. I'm trying so hard to get into the Christmas spirit, doing the best I can, you know. I have a Santa Claus just off camera.
Now, Eve, you've had a lot of matches for Great North Wrestling over the years. A lot of them are on my channel. Is there any match that you've enjoyed the most having for us?
Oh God, it was the ladder match.
Oh, I forgot you were in that. Yes, the ladder match.
Yes, don't forget it. I think I take 2 or 3 bumps in the ladder.
Yeah, that was. There was one in particular you took that was very painful. That was a 4-way ladder match. And yeah, that was a brutal match. That was for the women's championship.
Yeah,
you almost had it too.
Sorry?
You almost had it, the match won at one point too. It was
yes.
So ladder match is always brutal. I don't know how you guys do it. Hats off.
That's my favorite match. I love it. And tables.
Amazing work. Absolutely.
One match I really wanted to have with Eve, and she was open to it. The fans probably don't know this, but I have like a dungeon in my basement. It's like a Hart family style dungeon with amateur wrestling match and wooden walls. And they had that famous Ken Shamrock versus Owen Hart dungeon match. And I wanted to reproduce it, but everyone was too afraid to fight Eve. She was willing to do it, but there wasn't one taker. They all think they're above wrestling. Either they think they're above wrestling in a dungeon match, or they're afraid of Eve.
I would let you hurt me. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, go ahead, go to town, embarrass me.
That would be you and me.
Yeah,
I'm totally with it. Go for it.
How many intergender matches have you had now, Eve? Because you run into this problem a lot. You're a stronger lady, and you're bigger than most females in this area, as far as like muscularity wise and so forth. Have you had a lot of intergender matches in your career?
Yes, it's almost maybe 25-75.
Okay.
I got a big storyline with the Chateau. It take us 1 year of storyline. It was amazing. Yeah.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
when was the last actual match you've had with all of this this COVID going on? Have you wrestled at all since the lockdown?
No, it was in February
Yeah.
for the LDDC. It was a mixed tag. It was Merrily Rose and me against the Les Guerriers in French. So they are from Montreal. So yeah, it was nice. We win.
Now I see over this lockdown you've opened up an OnlyFans account. Before you weren't going as much in the sexual direction. You were more of like the ass kicking warrior type, Xena type fighter. But now I see you're showing like your more feminine side. What's made you change course and show off your body a little bit more?
Well, the thing is, without any wrestling, because my job before was session wrestling. With the COVID, nothing. So it's a big paycheck per month that I just lose. So I just turn like a lot of people on the web. And OnlyFans, you can do a lot of things on OnlyFans. So some people make nudes, porn, and all this stuff that can go very, very far. I don't do that. Me, it's just sexy stuff, vintage stuff, classy.
Absolutely. You should be proud of that work. And desperate times call for desperate measures, so hats off to you. That was very well done. Very, as you said, classy.
Thank you.
And if people want to look up your OnlyFans, what's it under?
What is on my OnlyFans?
Like where can they find your OnlyFans page if someone watching this wants to look at it?
Oh, it's on the Black Widow Eve Twitter. And sometimes I can put the links for a couple of hours because Facebook don't allow us to put the OnlyFans link.
Okay.
So I put the news link, keep it 3-4 hours, put it out.
Your eyes look really cool today, by the way. I don't know if it's the way the light is shining in them, but
yeah, probably.
Yeah, no, they're sparkling.
Yeah, but thank you.
Oh, no problem. Well, we hope to have you back in Great North Wrestling in 2021. I mean, if anyone's watching this and wants to take up her challenge, if you live in Canada.
Come fight with me.
Yeah. I mean, you can find me at Twitter at Devin Hannibal or at The Hannibal TV, and you can message me if you want to fight because that will get views. And we're not talking about sexy wrestling.
No.
We're talking about a dungeon fight. And that's what it's about.
But my chain wrestling is so bad.
Well,
you will kill me.
You're a brawler.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. I can picture it in my head, and it's ugly. And you win. Trust me, you win.
Now, Eve, out of all the wrestlers in the world right now, WWE, AEW, Great North Wrestling, anywhere, is there a particular girl you want to wrestle the most?
My dream match, I think my dream match will always be Gail Kim.
Oh, very interesting.
Yes, I was young and I was looking at her. Yeah. And she's good. She's very good.
And you mentioned session wrestling that you haven't been able to do since lockdown. What is that? Because I don't even know what that is. Is that what guys?
It's just wrestling on the mat, like chain wrestling or jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Yes. So that take a match. It's maybe an hour. So it's a good workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are those videotape or
Broadway.
are those on tape? Those sessions?
No, it's private.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So people pay you to beat them up.
Yeah.
That's
An
pretty.
hour for 2 hours. It depends.
Wow. So you mentioned your Twitter and your Instagram. Where can people follow you if they want to look you up?
Yes. And the fan page on Facebook.
And that's under Black Widow Eve.
Yes.
Why do you call yourself the Black Widow?
Whoa. It was Kat Von Gut. I met her for my hair. She was a hairdresser.
Yeah.
And I met her and she said, I think I already see you somewhere. I said, yeah, maybe wrestling. No. And because I stopped wrestle for 3 years.
Yeah.
And she said, oh my God, I want to wrestle. So her name and maybe I will. I said her.
Catherine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they found the nickname, the Black Widow.
Cool.
And we just put it on the front of Eve.
Before you go here, because we're almost out of time, Lufisto is the Great North Wrestling Women's Champion right now. To close this off, do you have anything you want to say to Lufisto about maybe possibly getting a title shot in the future?
Lufisto. Well, she's an inspiration for all the women's wrestler in Quebec, in Canada, but sometimes you have better than you. Sometimes I will say it in French.
Sure.
Yeah. Des fois, tu as juste besoin de passer le flambeau à une autre. Donc, maybe I'm the next one.
There you go. Well, thanks for coming on, and I wish you good luck, and I'll see you in 2021, I hope. Or before that,
Yes.
if someone takes the challenge.
Yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Now, Jack, where can people follow you as we close this off?
Follow me on Facebook, dude. I don't have anything going on right now, man. You can click on my face. You can add me on Facebook. That's what you could do.
All right. Well, I got to give my closing statements here. So nice talking to you, and maybe we'll have you on again. Have a great weekend.
It's been an honor to be on with you, Hannibal. I really enjoyed it, and I very much appreciate it.
Excellent.
Anytime, bro. Anytime.
And of course, everyone can follow us at youtube.com/TheHannibalTV, Instagram and Twitter at The Hannibal TV. We are on Twitch at Great North Wrestling, and this show can be heard on the BarnBurner Radio Network. It's on 122 platforms. Check them out at barnburner.ca for all the programming news. Zingo TV is available on Google Chrome Chat, Amazon Fire and Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, smart TVs, 2016 and forward, and BarnBurner. You can watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. And make sure you go to thehannibaltv.com for all of my personal links. And we have great content every day, news, interviews, match videos, lots of great stuff. Hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. We're going to have we're switching to 7 p.m. next week. Fridays at 7 p.m. is our new time slot here for the Hannibal TV show on the BarnBurner Network. So make sure you tune in at 7 p.m. next week. Thank you very much. We're closing it up for today.